Wow.
I don't know.
And
Hey,
that's
what's
when
up,
my
guys?
house burned down.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's why you
because
always
that's
have a bucket of water handy. Welcome to another episode of Live here on Monday night. Welcome, mediums, everybody in the live chat and listening on the feed later. I am Josh Hayes here with my two co-hostesses. Scott, I smell like crude oil moon.
That's true.
And
that's true. We get us a story
Chuck,
behind that. We'll get to it later.
And Chuck, I went on a spiritual walkabout for the whole year of 2018, Manly, and he came back and is going to spend his
but he
his
found a unicorn, I heard.
He did find a unicorn. It was very nice. So welcome everybody to the show. We're going to do another roundtable, second for the month of June, and it's going to be a good time. Got some responses in the group chat, and if you've got some questions you want to throw up in the live chat, go ahead and do so. Tag, I think you can tag like at Keystroke Medium with your question, and that way it throws up a little yellow doohickey thing next to the name, so I can see and we can see if you have a topic or a question.
Is that in Facebook?
Progresses. No, that's on the live YouTube.
On the live
channel.
YouTube chat. Oh,
on the
good.
live YouTube Chizat. Man, let's talk a little bit about what's going on this week. I've had a little bit going on, but you know what? Who hasn't shared in a really, really long time, and I'm going to put in the hot seat right out of the gate,
my ass.
Is Chuck Manley, who's been gone for a really long time. So, Chuck, get us caught up on what's been going on in your corner of the world.
Why's your office look so different? I don't understand.
Well,
it's so different.
There's a new house around it.
We just picked up the office and moved it and put it in a different house.
I got sick of those built-ins, so I just ripped them out. And
I mean, really, if you're not in pieces of lumber and
sounds like something
cedar block,
it sounds like something Josh would do. Hey, by the way, I rebuilt my entire basement in a 4,000 square foot deck on my backyard because I had some spare time.
I'm gonna put the studio in the deck next time we have enough.
You should. You should do a show.
We decided to downsize. So I've been moving and sneaking words in here and there where I can. My kids are both in band now, so Rick wants to know what's with my hair. I'm overdue for a haircut. That's how busy I've been, Rick. All right.
Oh, this is a great show.
Back off, man.
Best show of 2019 right here.
Most
keep it coming,
hair
Rick.
show
Keep it coming.
ever. Yeah, bring it.
Oh yeah, and I don't have my hat on. That's the problem. I don't even know where the fuck my hat is, to be honest with you.
It's probably.
We're still very much living in a maze of boxes and doing the unpacking and all that fun stuff. But the kids have been busy with summertime activities, and they've been keeping me on the road. And my car crapped out on me, and it was in the shop for a week. And I promised all these people stories and books and things, and a whole lot of stuff, but we're finally settled again, and I think that I'll be able to get back into my routine and fulfill some of these commitments I've made. So it's really just boring real life stuff. Yeah. Pissed off a couple of family members who aren't talking to me anymore now.
Good.
Just fun things like that. Fun things like that.
If you can't go on a spiritual walkabout and not piss off family members, are you really going on a spiritual walkabout?
This is true.
Yeah, Scott, what up with you, man? You've also done some shifting around in your office space.
I turned my desk.
That's all he did.
It's a shorter story.
He could not follow up Chuck's moving. I moved my entire house. Scott
I bought this camera and all kinds of stuff and changed my desk around and put different lighting. And I bought these lights to go but they came with a green screen. So I tried to put the green screen back here. I thought, this is gonna be the most thing. I'm gonna be so technical. I'm gonna way out tech Josh. I mean, he's not gonna have. And then I realized I'm not technical at all. And you have to be.
Nothing worked.
And yeah, nothing works. You have to be, except for the light. And there's like 3 more of them, but I got to put them together. But it takes like 4 or 5 hours to get. This is the
Keystroke Medium / Scott Moon tanning session.
Yeah. No, but so with a green screen, you have to be 2 meters in front of the green screen, which is not from this wall. So I'd have to be like in the other room, and you have to have like 15 lights. You have to have up light and down light and side light and below light shooting up your upper skirt light and all kinds of stuff, so you don't have any shadows on the green screen. And it was ridiculous.
And incidentally, that's the name of Scott's new porn site.
It is
up the skirt light. Yeah,
up Scott's skirt. That's what we do. I could be wearing a skirt right now, or no pants at all. You wouldn't even know.
Hey, if you're wearing it, it's a kilt. All right.
Yeah, yeah. Unless my desk keeps going down when I move my cup the wrong way. I'm like, whoa, hey, wait, go back up. Hey, come on now, Electro Desk.
He's wearing a skirt and a fanny pack, and he calls himself Scottish.
Scottish. That's it. True. Scottish. It's Scottish. Kind of like that. Now I've been writing, working. I don't really know what else besides trying to. I got a new camera. It takes good pictures, but I don't think I'm.
I saw some pretty cool video of you sword fighting with your son.
Oh yeah,
that looked fun.
Oh yeah,
I think that was Instagram or something.
I Instagrammed it and made it auto go to Facebook. But that's kind of what we do. We kind of play kind of rough. Usually there's some crying. Usually me, but somebody's getting hurt. Somebody's getting hurt during those little sparring sessions. But
my son and I had those same Nerf swords. We used to do that too.
Yeah, that's actually our second set. I had to order. We completely destroyed the first set, and we got those. And he wants to have a YouTube channel so bad. So, as a matter of fact, he made me this list. After we did that, he made me a list of these were the story. These are all the ideas he has for YouTube shows that we can do. So
wow.
We have a blanket fort. He wants to do a blanket fort YouTube show, Nerf War, a drawing tutorial. He wants me to show around my office. He wants to do a Fortnite, Titanfall, Zelda, Mario Odyssey, Spider-Man. He wants to do weightlifting, book reading, update video, challenge videos.
He just wants to have a camera on his whole life.
Yeah, the 15 is much. 15 is the best one. Throw me at the pool video.
Not into the pool.
Just add it.
Add it.
See, we don't have to go into the water. In the general area of what's going on.
Yeah. So when we go to the pool, it's kind of work because he wants me to I'll hold him like this and then I'll throw him as hard as I can in the air. I'll squat down and stand up. And that's what we do for 2 hours. It's a lot more fun for him than it is for me generally. But and all the other parents are like, those assholes. They need to calm down. Anyway, so
they're making us look bad by sitting on the chairs over here. Like, stop splashing.
And I'm looking at them like, God, I wish I was sitting on that chair right now. I'll dry. Yeah. His other thing he likes to do is he wants to walk on my back while I try to swim because he thinks it'll make him look like he's walking on water, which doesn't work out that great. He thinks it's a blast, but anyway, so that's what I'm doing, basically getting abused by my 8-year-old and then whatnot.
We had to go. The reason the show's late is we had to go to the final T-ball game of the season in which we won the World Series of T-ball and got medals that say baseball, which I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure why we got medals. It's bad enough we're getting.
It's optimism.
We got participation medals for T-ball, but they say baseball on them. And then of course.
You got the surplus, is what you're saying.
Yeah, they got it at a discount. And not only that, my almost 5-year-old is telling my 2-year-old, "You can't have my medal." I'm like,
the proudest moment of my life is when Richard's my oldest. When he was about 6 or 7 years old, he's playing T-ball, and I look out there, and they're like in the outfield. Him and this other boy, and they're out there going. God, they're like karate chopping each other, and then they build a castle in the dirt. And I was like, "That's my boy right there."
That is pure comedy, right there.
Absolutely, no T-ball action at all going on in the Moon family. So.
Aside from T-ball, though, I am working really hard on Valor 2, Echoes of Valor, because Edge of Valor is doing extremely well.
It is.
And it's being reviewed very nicely by readers. I was kind of blown away, really, by the first week or so of reviews coming in. They're still coming in really, really good. And not to pat myself on the back, but after 2 weeks, I've almost got 25 reviews, and I've got a 4.9 average all the way across. So
we can always
go back to your Striker review to put things in perspective.
Put it in perspective.
Anyway.
Actually, everybody's enjoyed this narrator. I haven't had it.
I think the narrator killed it.
The only bad review I have is this listener actually gave me a 5-star review for Strikers War, but then gave me a 2-star review on Edge of Valor because mysteries weren't his thing. And he said, it's a good book, probably has good writing, but I don't really like mysteries. 2-star. I'm like,
and that's fair.
It is what it is.
because it is more of a thriller. It's much more of a thriller than most
Yeah, but I mean,
sci-fi that's been published right now.
you know, just because it's not your thing doesn't mean it's a 2-star story.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
you know,
Right.
it could be a great thriller, but if you don't like thrillers, you're
Yeah.
not going to enjoy it. So why shit
that-
on the author? You
So
know,
that brought my Audible average down, but it is. What it is.
I left you a review and said I would like it better if your deck wasn't so much bigger than mine. So I gave you that review.
That's right. 1 star. Your deck's too big.
His deck's bigger than my whole house.
Actually, I did something pretty fun. I don't know that I can share it on. I don't know that
You
I
can
have the
share with
file.
us. It's okay.
I got a new iPad, and
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
I was messing around. I needed to do a map for the series that I'm writing in Jeff Chaney's universe, which is called Ashland. And so I had to do a map of the world. And I got this app on this new iPad that I got called Procreate. And it's really cool. Procreate, but it's Procreate. And it's you have the little Apple Pen and whatnot, and you can draw. So I am going to show you guys what I was kind of playing with yesterday because I thought it was really cool. Screen share there. That is a little map that I was drawing on the iPad. And I thought it came. I've tweaked it since then. This is an old version of it. I've tweaked a little bit. There's some more artwork in the middle that I've done so far, but I did that because some of the readers have said that they like maps.
Maps are cool,
and I think maps are cool. So I was just kind of messing around with it, doing a kind of.
I'd like to make a map that's nothing to do with the story at all. I just confuse everybody.
Just stick it in the book. Yeah.
Why is this even here?
We never went to this place. What are we doing?
That's on the other map.
Yeah, and then I kind of played around with a short story for J.R. Hanley, which is almost done. I think I got like 200 words left,
which ties into Ashland, right?
Which is a Ashland prequel story for one of the characters that is a secondary character in Ashland. I did a short story based on his backstory, so that'll be that was fun. Man, Echoes of Valor's coming along really well. I had a really good talk with Stephen Rett the other day, story structure conversation about where I wanted to do with the story. And so they said they hated what I was doing, and now I'm rewriting the whole thing. So I'm just kidding. They didn't.
They also said your deck is lame and you should rebuild it from scratch.
Yeah.
Tear it down, start over.
Rick, it's his post-apocalyptic anthology. I don't know what the title is. I can't remember, but it was a themed post-apocalyptic anthology, and since Ashland is basically post-apocalyptic,
Rick's got a bunch of
Mad Max in space. I showed the cover for that, didn't I, on the show?
The cover is awesome.
Yes, the cover. And just while we're on that, I like looking at the cover, and it's my show, so I'm going to show it. Let's see. This is the show for Ash, or the show. This is the cover for Ashland. Here, boom.
Good, nice.
It looks. I mean, it hits exactly what your story's going for. You should. You should show Reaper 5, even though I haven't been given the clear to share it. If I see just because that would be like something.
No, I can get it here really quick. Let's see. That's why I love doing these.
Because you get rewarded for coming to the show, because this literally has not been released to anybody. And
Chinese Keystroke Medium exclusive.
I hope Jeff doesn't fire me for showing this.
And you show the cover, and you're fired now. Okay, let's see. Nope, go back, download, and open. And we're gonna do this.
He has really good stories.
Right, let's see. Share application window. This one.
Yeah,
here.
I agree. Lou says he thinks they're getting better covers.
There it is.
They're awesome. That I love that cover.
Yeah, that one's really good too.
That one is not too shabby, especially if you've been following the series, because the character's kind of developing. Might have to have a one with a lease on it or something too, but some of the favorite characters in there. Yeah, see, I totally did not show that. Josh made me do it.
Oh yeah, that's
plausible
true.
deniability. Consistently, Christie is giving me an out.
Not
Give me a-
premeditated at all.
Yeah. Nope.
Yeah, so that's what I've been trying to do is get caught up. I've got to finish Valor 2 or Echoes of Valor by August 30th. So I've around 45 days to finish a 100,000 word novel because they have it on pre-order for October 1. So if I don't get it to them,
deadline.
yeah. So I have to get it to them in time for Steve and Rhett. Well, probably not Rhett, but Steve to edit and then get back so I can finish the edits and then publish. So I'm on a hard deadline of the 30th. And so right now it's about 1,700 words a day. Not a big deal at all. But as long as I stay on top of that, and I'm generally doing about 2,500 to 3,000 on it a day. So I should give myself a little bit of a cushion. But if I fall behind, I could be royally screwed.
Bart of today has a question.
I accidentally closed out of the YouTube window.
He says, "Can you do screen shares for the covers for show sponsors?"
Probably could. I probably could do that.
I think we had some issues in the past, so but now apparently we can at least do what we did right there. I imagine.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And now I'm forgetting what I'm supposed to be doing. Oh yeah.
Oh, you can pull up the chat so you can see how they're
live chat,
see
so
the
I can see what everybody's doing.
Shenanigans.
We did have some responses for tonight's show in the group chat. Some up in the Facebook group. If you're listening on the podcast feed or you're watching for the first time on YouTube, welcome. We also have a Facebook group, Keystroke Medium. Just search Facebook, and we're the only Keystroke Medium anywhere. And if there was two, we'd be
in the universe.
Yeah,
the universe of Doom, Keystroke Medium of Doom.
We would challenge them to a spelling contest and have all of our friends help us.
Oh no, I don't do spelling contests.
If there was a second one, that's a tombstone quote.
I got you.
Why don't we have a spelling contest?
Let's see what there was a couple responses. Let's see. James S. Aaron asked me what it was like to swim in my new millions like Scrooge McDuck. I'm not. Second is who our nominations are for the Dragon Awards writing routines in the summer.
Oh gosh, that's a good one.
So, and your favorite second in the series. We actually had two questions about kind of book twos. Actually, I had three kind of questions about book twos and then messy middles. And we've done a messy middle episode before, but it might be something to touch on here after a couple minutes. Let's touch on writing routines here pretty quick because the summertime really screws with a lot of people.
So summertime writing routines, book twos. That's interesting. I don't know if we really talked about second books. We talked and then so writing routines, book twos, and then messy middles.
Let's kick off writing routines. Scott, you have 4 kids at home, so you've got a couple that are college age, but the two younger ones at home now for summer times, and you've got to definitely shift some stuff around on your days off. So how do you handle that?
Well, I have the older ones and the younger ones, and the younger ones can mostly entertain themselves, but at some point I feel like I should be spending the summer with them. So we'll, get Nerf swords and beat each other, which is generally my go-to thing, or go to the pool and throw each other. So, we have to do that. My kids get up pretty early for some reason. I'm not quite sure. I guess maybe it's because we put them to bed too early. And then my 19-year-old daughter has just started cosmetology school, and she gets up a little bit later than she was when she was on the rowing team. So I have my clackety clack keyboard. I don't know if you can hear that. And so I worry, or if I'm voice dictating, I feel like she says it doesn't bother, but I know I'm keeping her up. So I have a keyboard that's a little bit quieter. So I'll try to come in here early as I can and type. And I haven't been getting as many words lately. I've been getting probably 300 to 600 words a day before I go to work. And then maybe if I get some lunch break time, I might get a couple hundred more here and there. And then I try to really handle, like today's my day off. So I got about 300 words, I think, something like that on a project. But usually what I do is I try to, my advice always is to write first thing as you can in the morning, whether that's 3 in the morning or 11 in the morning. If it's the first time you can get it done. And then I will try to write for about 2 hours. I'll use the Pomodoro app, 25 or 30 minutes, take a short break, get back into it, do that for about 2 hours. And then anything I can get after that is just kind of gravy. And so then if I find the key thing for me is I have to have a mental routine where if an opening presents itself to me, I just do it without even questioning whether I should or not. Because if I start thinking about it, I'll be like, I'm not really feeling it. Maybe I need to download these pictures from Adobe Stock so I can close out my account, or I got to try to fix all this thousands of dollars of equipment I bought that I don't know how to use, true story. So that's my routine. It's just not as good as when the kids are in school, because there's people here, and regardless whether they're kids or my wife or whoever, I feel like I need to spend some time with them. And I, even if they tell me to go write, I'll still feel guilty and go do stuff with them. So that's a big thing, and not starting huge projects.
What about you, Chuck? I know moving kind of screwed with your writing.
Yeah, when I'm not like in the middle of big upheavals like moving and all the other stuff that's been going on, summertime I am super duper lucky in that I get to be a stay-at-home dad, so I have a lot of time to work with. The biggest difference between summer and the school year for me is during the summer I'm usually up between 5 and 6 every morning, so I'll do my writing in the morning. And that way I'm available in the afternoon with the kids. Like if they want to go splash around in the pool, or if I got to take them to band practice or whatever, I'll do my writing in the mornings. When school's in session, I get up in the morning because I get everybody off to work and school and whatever, and I do my writing after the house is empty. So it's not that big a shift for me. And I'm not a super fast writer. I mean, a really good day for me is going to be 2,000, 2,500 words, something like that. And like today, I got to write for the first time in about, over 2 weeks. And I got in it was like 1,100 words or something. And I did all that before everybody else got up this morning. So
nice.
It's really just kind of bouncing around the kids and the family. And it's also nice because like my son's a freshman in high school this year, my daughter's starting middle school, so they have a lot of their own autonomy now, so they don't need me as much as they used to, so I can just close my office door and work, and I know they're okay out there if they won't come and disturb me unless they really need something.
They're gonna beat you at the Nerf sword or something.
Right. Like if my daughter gets really lonely, she will come and just kick my damn door open and jump up and down on my desk. Pay attention to me. Pay attention to
me. That checks out. Totally worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, totally. That's what I could advocate
but
for that.
I'm super lucky in the fact that I get to be home and I have plenty of time to get that stuff done when I'm not unpacking boxes and shit like that. So,
yeah. I've been doing the same thing this summer that you guys have kind of been dealing with, is the kids being home, and my mom and dad will come over and watch the kids for 2 days a week, and so I get to sit down in my office and do what I need to do, but because of summertime, my daycare has really random days where she is able to do daycare because she's got kids of her own, and so like some days it's Monday, like today it was Monday, and then sometimes it's Friday, and then sometimes it's Thursday. And then like today, my oldest had a volleyball tournament camp on the way other side of town. So I had to drive 35 minutes to take her to her volleyball thing, and then drive home, and then load up all the other kids and drive 20 minutes to the daycare, and then come back. And then I got to ride. And then at about 4:30, I had to go pick up the other two, or the other three. But it's basically writing when I can. And
but you've had a just because we talk all the time, obviously, and you've had an consistent increase in words per day for several weeks now. And some of that's just been because some of the days we'll talk, and it seems like you stay up later when you have to, but you write basically in the morning and then the nighttime, and just kind of gutting it out.
Right. And it's kind of, when I first went full time, it was really hard to be creative throughout the day. And now it's like, okay, am I going to have an hour to just sit down and be creative? And when is that hour? So I can get up in the morning and do it. Now that I have a really a nice deck outside, I'll get up at 6 and I'll get my computer and my coffee and go right out to my deck. I don't even come down to the basement office. I just go straight out there. And so I get 45 minutes of typing outside in the morning before the kids wake up. And that's really helpful. I've been doing that at night. Like after the show, I'll go outside and get like 2,000 words out on the deck, just because I have to get the words. And I had a really horrible month. End of May through most of June, I had a horrible month, and I'm very slowly picking that back up and getting the writing done when I can. And it's worked out. I've even started, I can't remember who first suggested it, but we had Kevin J. Anderson on the show, and he was talking about how he does voice dictation, then has it transcribed later, and he just goes and walks around. And so I was trying to figure out, how can I maximize my day writing wise, when like I'm driving all over town and I'm doing these things, and then I get a couple hours in front of the computer and it inevitably gets, broken up. So I was thinking to myself, how could I maximize things? And I said, well, I sit in the car for half an hour sometimes. Can I do a dictation and then transcribe it? So I tried that the other day, and I dictated for about 20 minutes, got about 800 words. Still had to do a little editing and cleanup, but it was about 800 words in 20 minutes. Today I did it on my way home from dropping the kids off at daycare, and in 25 minutes I got about 1,100 words.
Wow.
Took me a minute to clean it up and put it together. But as I was cleaning it up and putting it together, I gained like 700 words on top of it. And so let's just call it an hour. I got 1,700 words done, ish.
That's solid.
And it was pretty good. And I don't know how many total words I had today, because I don't know where I started. I think I started around 4,000 words today, and my short story that I worked on today is at about 8,300 words. So that means I got like 4,300 words, but I deleted a whole bunch. So today is one of the days I have no idea how many words I wrote, but I know that I was sitting in my computer.
I think Bard wants to know what program you use.
Bard wants to know. That's what I was going to
say. Jinx.
Bard wants to know what program I use. Okay, so I use a Apple app called Just Press Record. The app looks like the Target symbol, and it basically is just that. It's an app that you just hit record. It records your audio file. It will record as long as you talk. And then when you're done, you hit stop, and it gives you the option to either upload the audio file, or the app will actually transcribe it for you, and then you can upload the transcription. I think they have it for both Apple and Android, but I'm not sure. But the cool thing about this is that I got I figured out how to put Windows on my Mac. Long story short, I have a Mac that now runs Windows in parallel, and I bought the Dragon Pro individual, and I can upload the audio file from this app. I can upload the audio file into Dragon. It will transcribe it for me, and the transcription is actually very accurate.
Yeah.
And so I'm really actually, tomorrow I might just go walk around outside for an hour and transcribe and see how many words.
You first showed me that app when we watched Endgame.
Yes.
When we watched at the IMAX, and I remember just going, I just got it, just an impulse buy. So I have only used it once or twice. So I'm going to start getting back into it. I do a lot of dictation while driving. But I'll use Dragon Anywhere, and I'll just set my phone down, and I'll just drive and not really worry about how, because I use a little lavalier mic.
Yeah.
And so then because you can't look at what you're doing, because that would be dangerous. And so sometimes the cleanup is pretty nasty. Or if I can pull over someplace, I'll do some. But then I also listen to my books back I use Speechify. So like if I've been away from a story for a while, like Sunday, I drove around at work just whenever I was driving, instead of listening to an audiobook, I would listen to my phone read me my story so I could get kind of back in tune with it. And that helps me a lot, helps my productivity quite a bit. So that's another good one.
I like I like to dictate and do the voice to text, but the transcription I like because the audio file doesn't matter if you take a break. Like I can say something and then stop talking for like
Yeah.
5 minutes and then just start talking again. And as the transcription will just, it's a completely seamless deal. Now you still have to do like open quote, blah blah blah, close quote, Chuck said, and then it'll do all that punctuation. You could say new paragraph, new line, or whatever. It'll do all that for you.
The other advantage of using either any type of voice recording rather than like dragging anywhere where you can see the words, if you're just recording the audio like Kevin J. Anderson does, you can't go back and self-edit. You can only go forward and you edit that stuff later. So you'll throw down a massive amount of words. Now a lot of them be junk. And we talked about this today, that I think the best practice would be to like go out for your walk, go for your nature walk or whatever, read your story in there, like, try to clean it up the same day or at least skim through it, because the cleanup will be easier the sooner you do it. If you wait, like I was telling Josh, when I was working at a part-time, I had to sit in my car a lot, and I did like 7,000 words a day for like a whole week in a row. And when I went back and tried to edit that, I was like, I don't even know what I was even talking about in some of the sections because, a week had passed. So best practice, possibly. Uh-oh, poltergeist.
Yeah. No, I was trying to scratch my ear and my Ken was asking about this space opera anthology. The deadline is in 5 days, and we do have a really crap.
I thought it was the 25th.
I'm pretty sure it's the 20th. Let me look.
Oh shit! All right.
I was talking. I think I can't remember if I mentioned it. I did mention Speechify. The other thing it'll do is it'll read like blog posts to you. So if you go on the internet, you can click on it, you can import so you can listen. So if you want to read about the news and there's a news article you don't have time to read, you can just click it on the phone and throw your phone on the seat, and then you can listen to it, read it to you. Now it has voices you can use that are really nice to listen to, but they put a limit on how long the special voices are allowed without upgrading and paying more money. But I just tuned my ear to the robot voice, and that way I can get the information, and it's fine.
It is the 20th, but it's cool. Let's see. Let's look at what were the other. Oh, we're talking about middles and second books, which kind of is the same thing. Kind of the same thing.
Yeah, especially if you're writing a trilogy. I mean, it's
or series. Yeah.
So somebody was asking me about the second book of the Valor series. Edge of Valor was kind of unique structural wise, and so the second book, the structure is not going to be the same. I'm gonna segue into the second book a little bit of the same way that the first book is, but the first book, where it centers around Fisher and then his interviews, that is not going to happen for the most part in book 2.
So
Fisher's still going to be
you probably better outline that real briefly for the people who are new.
So in Edge of Valor, the first book is structured in a way that the main character is an investigator. When we are reading the main character, we're doing that in third limited. During the novel, he interviews these survivors of a failed mission, and as he's interviewing them, the narrator goes to a first-person unreliable. And so there's several different POVs in the book, all from their own point of view. And so the reader learns about the mission just right along as Fisher does. And it's a very unique structure in that the book starts after the mission has failed, and then we actually we know who survives. The first POV is the last thing that happens on the mission, and then it kind of jumps around from there. But it's in Edge of Valor, we know we know who survives. We just don't know why everybody else died and why the mission failed. And so that's the whole point of reading the book, is to figure out the why and the how. In Edge of Valor, or Echoes of Valor, the second book, that structure, you can only do that. You can't do that so many times. And I'm bringing in a couple new characters into the second book. Fisher is still going to be the main character. Uh, there's another character that I can't talk about yet because the book's too new. But the investigation aspect of the novel that a lot of people have said that they liked in the reviews, that they really enjoyed that investigative nature of the book, that is going to carry through into book 2. And some of the action sequences that a lot of people said they liked, that is going to carry over. All the character, all the dialogue, all that stuff's going to carry over. It's just the structure is going to be different. And so I'm hoping, as a second book, talking about a messy middle, I'm hoping that change does not turn off people to the series. But we'll see. Sometimes it happens. A lot of times in second books, it's more of a bridge to get to the third book. And I'm throwing some curveballs to hopefully so it won't be that way. But
Well, I think as long as people like the character that was doing the investigating,
yeah.
I mean, you sounds like you should be able to carry, because it sounds like the second book is going to be more of the detective-y type stuff.
The second book is going to be, the second book is going to be continuing investigating the conspiracy around what happened in the first book.
Yeah.
And then the kind of the drapes, the curtains get pulled back and we start to see everything that's happening in the universe. So in the first book, we have a very small section of the universe here, and it's the whole story. And then as we get into the second book, it opens up and we see a lot of other things going on.
Man, that sounds like it'll work.
I think it will. But it's, it's one of those things that you don't ever want to have a slow middle.
Right.
And what I like, I really like middles. I think a lot of people get caught up into making the ending so cool that you can't have a cool middle because it'll diminish how cool the ending is. But I say make the middle as cool as you can. Like just throw in so many things and just.
Middles can have little endings and little beginnings too. I mean, that's one of the ways you get through them. You plan a little subplot in the beginning that wraps itself up in the middle, but also opens up another loop question, whatever, in the middle, and that sort of gets you through that slump there. That question that gets answered but opens up a bigger question. I mean, there are definitely ways to spice up the messy middle or whatever.
I think sometimes sometimes you get through it and then you go back and just kind of take a fresh look at it, and you can, because a lot of times it starts to feel like work. I mean, and so I think that's one of the reasons the middles are so hard, because in the beginning you're in love with your story and everything's just brilliant. In the middle, it starts to feel like work. You come give it a little bit of a break and come back and then look at it, and you'll see, oh yeah, I got lazy here. I can add more detail here, or this conflict was resolved too easily. Let's make it harder. And, and the kind of the subplots like you're talking about, or the mini arcs. And I think that'll help a lot with middles. Just get through them and come back to them.
Ramping up the stakes as you go. Like if you're not ramping up the stakes continually, then you're going to have and like Chuck said, you can have several ends and several beginnings. So if you wrap up the stakes on one and then end it, ramp it up again and do it again.
Right.
And then, it's the try fail cycle that everybody talks about. And
small victories become bigger problems.
Right.
Exactly.
Let's see what else we have here. Jave Clifton says it's 110 degrees in Vegas. Good.
Fuck God.
That. It's a dry heat.
The heat index here has been like 100 and I think it got up to 107 one day. It's fucking ridiculous. Hey guys, I got to go pick my son up from marching band practice. They're doing it at night because it's been so hot. So been fun. I'll be back. My walkabout is over, and I'll catch you guys later.
Everybody's always excited for Papa Chuck. Papa Chuck, like Papa Chuck in the house.
All right, guys, it's fun. See you next time. Bye.
Laters.
Let's see. he says, Josh feeling, how much heat is Josh feeling to come up with another great story for the second book in the Edge of a lot of heat, a lot. Very nervous about book 2, but I was very nervous about what book 1. And I'm
But you
been
had
pleasantly
you
pleased.
spent 6 years on book 1. You had some really heavy hitters that pre-read the book and liked it.
God, can you believe David Weber wrote
I
me a
know.
thing? Like his blog post was like this big.
You should. Well, I don't know if everybody's seen that, but you should. If you could screen share that as proof, so it didn't sound like we're just making this up, but
Yeah,
or not. But yeah, so that was a pretty big deal. I was watching Josh like spin around and what do you call that, pirouette, like a ballet
yeah.
dancer. So happy.
I had one of those ribbons and I was doing a little dance, like running around. Like
It wasn't really manly, but he's very excited, so we let him.
I was very excited. It was one of those things in your author career where it's like a once in a lifetime thing. And I mean, I told my wife, I said, I remember reading the paperback version of On Basilisk Station back in like, I don't know when, like 2000, probably, like way back in the day. And now he liked my book and thought it was awesome. And that's
wrote a fairly long review.
I was gonna say, and not only liked it, but then wrote a really like gave me really some personal critical review on Messenger, like a page long of his critical review of the book, which was fantastic. But then also on in a public forum,
Yeah.
and so that very very fulfilling as an author to get that, and so
The whole book worth it, no matter what happens.
oh yeah, it could not sell any more copies, and I'm like, I don't care. David Weber liked it.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But messy. I mean, middles are fun. I mean, I just got over the middle part in my Ashland book, and Ashland is a lot of buildup because it's a first book in a brand new world, so it's a lot of world building and a lot of buildup to get the characters where they need to go. And so a lot of the buildup, a lot of the middle was really just introduction. A lot of the middle was introducing new concepts and new things that the reader needs to know about for the story to make sense and for the rest of the series to kind of progress. And so now that I'm over that hump, I told Jeff the other day, it's all downhill from there. We were rolling this ball up this hill and now we're over the hill and then we just let go of the ball. And now it's just rolling, smashing like a big stone boulder, running over everything. And so I'm really excited now that we're at the back half of the book. Your voice got so high when you talked about David Weber. Yeah, I might have been fanboying. I mean, yes, I did fanboy a little bit, a lottle. I fanboyed a lottle. Do you have any other thoughts on the middle of the books?
Well, I have a story about middles, and so I wrote a book with, I guess, but mostly for Jason and Nick for Galaxy's Edge and the Order of Centurion. It's the same one, Striker's Wars. They're independent standing stories. They're all based on the same theme of valor, basically, or the ultimate sacrifice. And I wrote it in first person present tense, which was a big challenge for me. And it actually is a precursor for how I started to write my Shorty stories. Although Shorty's got a dirtier mouth than they allow in their universe, just by a little bit. He's kind of rough around the edges. But so I really loved the story, and I wrote it, and I was finishing up all the books with Richard and a couple of my own books, and I sent it to them, and they sent me back one of the most challenging reviews and revision deals. And basically, the main thing about it is that in several places, and I kind of did it intentionally, so I was a little mad at first because I didn't want to ramp the action up too soon. And I had made the conflicts in the beginning not as difficult because I was trying to escalate progressively throughout the thing. But when I went back and looked at this, one of their main beta reader editors' comments, he said, you let these people off the hook too easily in many instances. So I went back, and so I'm mostly working on the middle, and I'm mostly going in there and like they attack this bridge, and I go into more detail. I show more consequence. I make it more gritty. I get some more descriptions and have people just get smacked around a lot more. And so that's kind of where my idea came about. Come back to the middle later and make sure you didn't just let people off the hook too easy. Because it's easy to set something up and you're like, but this isn't the story, so I need to move on to the actual story. So it's kind of a balancing act between getting too deep into the woods and giving a big punch in the face when they need it, the characters.
That's actually a really good idea, is to go back and make sure that it's that your middle's building. I did that a little bit with my short story today, where I knew what the ending was going to be, but I didn't know how I was going to get there. So basically I said, they run down a whole bunch of stairs and get there. And then I and then I wrote the ending, and then went back and had some thoughts on how to make this running down all these stairs a little bit interesting, like cutting a guy's head off.
You had another story you told me about. I think it was one you wrote. It might have been in Hales War, where you had this assault, a planetary assault, and they had landed and got out of these ships. But then you said, no, they're going to land back, and then they're going to come out of the trees. You remember you were telling me about that?
Oh, yeah.
Different. So talk about that.
Yeah, so the first it's mostly the middle, but it's in the first quarter. They're having this long battle on Terra Nova for the last book, and this is right at the first quarter, first third of this book, and they're having this battle. And I had the enemy called the Nether Guard. They were deploying to the planet in these big drop pods that fall out of the sky, land on the ground. They open up, and all the Nether Guards come spilling out. And I just, in my first draft, I'm like, they land in this field, they get out, and they run out, and it's kind of like a Saving Private Ryan D-Day beach thing, when the things come down and we just open up on them, and they all
scariest environment imaginable for some reason.
That's all you had to say. Scariest environment imaginable.
Yeah.
So what I thought was, visually and kind of to ramp up the tension a little bit more for the characters, and then also for the reader, is what happens if I land those pods behind the trees outside of the clearing. And so then you would have the characters have this visual of these pods coming down and slamming into these trees, and they start hearing all the Nether Guard doing their war cries and stuff as they're setting up to charge through this field, but they can't see anything. And then all of a sudden, just hundreds of Nether Guards in waves just start charging out of the trees across this clearing towards the colony. And I thought that would be a better way, visually and emotionally, for the characters to see that happen. And I thought that I didn't think about that until I was almost all the way done with the book. Yeah. And so I wrote it. I liked it. It wasn't great. I didn't love it, but I was like, it's what's got to happen. And so I just kept moving. And then I thought about a better way to do it at the end, and went back and tweaked it. And it really wasn't that big of a tweak. It took me about half an hour to rearrange everything.
I read a book a while ago, and I can't remember who. I wish I could remember who it was, because it's been so long. But they talked about that you don't really write a book so much as you draft a book. You kind of write the first draft, but most of the process is drafting and revising. And what's his name? I have the book over here. It's Sol Stein. He has a book, Sol Stein on Writing, where he talks about top of the head writing. So a lot of times when you're writing first, second draft, you're just kind of cruising along, and you throw out something that's kind of obvious and it sounds good at the time. But when you go back, look at it, then you can go, well, I can take that a little deeper. Why don't I make, my characters do something a little different, use a different character, use a different POV, change some things around, and then you get deeper and more original. So a lot of times you're not always brilliant. Like they say, the first draft is always shit. It's not always true. I don't think that's really true. I think actually first drafts are very powerful, especially if you get through them quickly. You don't get in your own way. But there's something to be said for going back, especially to the murky middles or whatever, and just taking a deeper revision. Maybe focusing and let all the pressure go for writing a whole book, and just focus on a couple of scenes and make them really good. And maybe you don't even change a whole bunch of the story plot. Maybe you just polish that up. Make the dialogue a little snappier, make your descriptions more concise but more visual, and just kind of just go back and just kind of clean it up that way. And I think you make a stronger middle in revision.
Oh yeah, and I had a lot of. I just thought of when we talked about cleaning it up and making it a little bit more snappier. I in Ashland, before Saturday, I thought the book was probably going to be like 90,000 words, because I had just so much stuff going on. But then I went and looked at it, and the stuff that I had the characters doing was important to the story, the overall story, not important to the first book. And so I went back and looked at all the scenes that I had outlined and planned and plotted out, and I took out probably 6 chapters right out of the middle because it did not push the bigger story. It expanded the world. It was really good for the world building. Like, it was really good to see kind of what was going on these different places, different settlements, but did not push the actual story that I was trying to tell with the first book of Ashland. And so I took out 6, I think 7 chapters. It reduced the size of the book by almost 20,000 words projected. I haven't written them, but I had it projected for chapter word counts and all that. So now the book's probably sitting about 65, 70,000 because I tweaked. I also changed how uh, the fighting in the book worked. I had a whole thing set up of kind of a gladiatorial arena, and I planned almost the entire book about this thing as thinking they were just going to have like these gladiator type fights. And then Jeff and I talked, and I was like, huh, would it be cool if we did like a death race in the middle? and so I changed the entire gladiator thing. I just threw out the whole gladiator fight arena concept and just threw in a death race. And so then I had to go back and change all those scenes and add the death race aspect of the book in there. And so again, that I had to throw out whole chapters that I'd already written, that I already planned out, because I changed the concept. And it's easier. Yeah, it's Mad Max in the Renegade universe. It's exactly what it is, and that's how we're branding it as. When you read it, you're going to be like, oh yeah, this is totally Mad Max.
And I love Mad Max.
And I love Mad Max. It's not the story, but just the feel of Mad Max. That's what you're going to get when you read it. Yeah.
Bart, we're talking in the chat. We're talking about cutting out. You're talking about cutting out chapters.
Yeah.
And so, like, Enemy of Man, my first main sci-fi book that I wrote it as a screenplay. I rewrote it as a novel, and I published it through Lulu, I think, in paperback. But then I rewrote it completely, and I probably only kept less than 20% of the book. I started completely over, and it was actually easier it's easier sometimes. And we've talked about it with a lot of people who are struggling with a really long project, a book they've been writing for 10 years. Sometimes it is faster to just take a section of your book and just pitch it.
Yeah.
Because it's still in your subconscious. You're not going to lose the spirit of it, and then just start over rather than trying to rearrange, move a character, and make sure their name stays the same and it doesn't contradict with something else you did there. Just axe it and start over and see what happens. And then if you don't like it, you can put the original back in.
Yeah. And it's a lot easier for me when I'm because I do really heavy planning. And so my beats sometimes, especially for Ashland, my beats were 800, maybe 1,000 words each chapter. And I'm planning on having 2,000 to 2,500 word chapters. And so basically by the time I get to the chapter, half of it's done already, or the idea for the chapter is already solidified in writing. But then when I change a concept, I don't have to throw out 20,000 words. I have to throw out 5,000 words, which is not as hard for me to throw out.
Especially if you're producing a lot. That's
right.
James.
I mean, that's a day. Yeah.
Yeah. I've told the story before, but I have a friend who has a master's degree in fine arts, and he does ceramics. He makes pottery and things, and he's actually a high school principal now. But I remember him telling me that when he was getting his master's, he went into one of his high-level ceramics classes, and they made this project, and they spent like 3 weeks on it, and they get all done, and they're all excited, they're all high-fiving, and then the instructor walked in and gave them each a hammer and said, "Okay, smash it." And they did, and they had to that was part of their grade. They had to smash their creation they'd spent 3 weeks on. And his point was it's not the thing, it's the expression and the process, and don't get too attached to something. You got to be able to make bold choices, and sometimes that might mean ditching it completely.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's so true. It's so true. I I could hopefully that doesn't happen with Valor because I don't have time to throw out 20,000 words in Valor. I'm gonna get
lifting already. You've built the world, you've
Right.
built the characters, you built the tone, you got that going. So you just go.
I know I'm gonna get to like August 20th and go, well, none of this works, Steve. I'm gonna have to throw it all out. I might not make it.
And you're
Just kidding.
ready to change your name because he's gonna come kill you because
yeah.
small company.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's been fun. Sorry, guys, that we started late. We should be able to stay on track 8 o'clock hard as we go forward. So we don't have to stop. What do we call 8 quarter? Is it because we have 8? We have
No, it's
half
quarter
7,
quarter 8.
quarter 8,
I think
quarter
it's
8,
quarter 8.
quarter 8. It's probably
Really?
quarter 8.
We need Raph here to
Yeah.
bring that to us.
Everybody that come and hang out with us tonight, thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out with us. It's awesome to have the live chat popping. It's awesome to watch all you guys consistently Christy come back and hang out with us. We really enjoy it, and this is the reason we do it and hang out on Monday nights. It's because of you guys. And so let's see. I think we have an interview actually next week. Let's see who it is. It's Ryan Kirk is going to be on the show next week. And then hopefully on the 29th, we'll see. It's that's what we have lined up so far. The 29th should be Mark Allen Edelheit and his co-writer Quincy J. Allen are going to come on the show to talk about their novel in Mark's Steiger universe. Let's see, what do we have coming up on Thursday? Let's see. Ooh, James Aaron's gonna be on Thursday Night Live, or the writer's journey on Thursdays.
Cool.
Balancing. Oh, this carries from tonight's topic: balancing family with writing, or
It's like a
balancing family
warm-up.
and writing.
It's a warm up.
Yeah.
It's a warm up.
So this is very much a warm up. But we are like if you go to a fight, we are like the lowest build fighter on the ticket, and then Lauren and Kayleen are like the big name, bold letters, and now stepping into the ring.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
The main thing with balancing families, you got to get them all up over your head, and then you got to extend, you got to lock out the arms, or else you can't hold them there. Because we did that at the pool also.
Yeah.
He was mad I couldn't hold him up there very long. I'm like, I didn't get my arms locked out. Then he falls and belly flopped. It's fantastic.
That's right. All right, everybody. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us on this Monday night. Don't forget to come back next week. If you're listening on the audio feed, come and hang out with us live.
Bring 10
for
friends.
the love.
Everybody should bring 10.
Bring 10 friends. Yes.
Like
thank you guys. We will come back next week. We're going to talk about some reading. We're going to talk about some writing and everything in between right here on Keystroke Medium. See ya.